Hi all, welcome to the new episode of Professor Visa and Education Services News Update. My name is Nish. I'm a registered migration agent Mara 1568498 and also Director of Professor Visa and Education Services. Happy New Year everyone. This is our first official video for year 2022 and just wanted to cover quite a lot of topic for today. Well, basically what to sort of anticipate in year 2022. How does the year going to roll out? I've made some speculation. Obviously, a lot of things has not been legislated or the policy has not been out yet. But I'll try to explain you, based on what of the information's available, publicly available, and some of the informations the ministers and the media release has recently happened. My topic will be based on those facts. So, without wasting too much of our time, let's get started. The first topic is obviously 491 New South Wales. The ROI period has started for January round. It started yesterday basically. Well, it started morning, I think about 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. We had a ROI form available so that we can start doing the registration. We'll register your interest for the New South Wales nomination has started yesterday. So, a lot of things are self-explanatory in their website. So if you look at the important information you must read before registration of interest for New South Wales nomination. First, you may only submit one ROI per submission window. So, there has obviously been some, situation in the past that the client has applied themselves for different RDAs. In a hope that if you apply for multiple ROIs, then you might be picked up. Well, the answer is no, you will not be picked up just because you put multiple ROIs. Well, this time you have to actually make a declaration that I have not already submitted an ROI this submission window. This includes for a different occupation or preferred region. So I suggest we all have to be very careful in terms of which region are you selecting and why, because you only get one chance, one ROI. If you have a multiple ROI, it's clear that the ROI, all ROI will be basically removed from the consideration. So it's not going to be good. So only one ROI. And then there's another declaration about the fact that the all informations are correct. That's very important. I understand this ROI cannot be amended or withdrawn after it is submitted for any reasons. Hence, if you are already our client, which is why we send out that draft applications for you to double check and to be confirmed via email. Once we get the confirmation, that's when we start lodging your ROI. Now, it's very important that we check everything before the ROI is lodged, because as it clearly says, it cannot be amended or cannot be withdrawn after it is submitted for any reasons. Now, if you are not able to apply for the nomination application, be careful, because it has an ramification which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. But anyways, let's keep going. Do not submit an ROI if you do not intend to apply for nomination. Exactly, this is what I was talking about before. If you are invited to apply for nomination or you have an application declined, you will become ineligible to submit a new ROI for a minimum period of 12 months. So there seems to be a barred period of 12 months for not being able to apply for nomination for various reasons, or if your nomination is refused or declined for various reasons. For example, you applied for Stream 1, you are not the eligible candidate for Stream 1, and if your nomination is refused, then you have that 12 months barred in place. Submitting an ROI under Stream 1 does not guarantee you will be invited to apply. Because of exceptionally high demand, many people eligible under Stream 1 will not be invited to apply. We strongly recommend all people submitting an ROI pursue all other migration pathways available to them and do not wait to be invited to apply, as it says. New South Wales will not prioritize your ROI for any reasons. Do not contact our office seeking special consideration of your ROI. Now, that's as it says over there, there's no special consideration. So the only important part of this ROI round is the Stream 1, 491. The 30th of September 2021 is the last eligible day for the January submission. So what that basically means is if you are living and working in your nominated or closely related occupation for at least 3 months, you may apply under Stream 1. However, the preference will be given to the people who meets the 12 months requirement. The 3 months applies from the beginning of the submission window. The last eligible date for the January submission window is 30 September 2021. So 30 September, October, November, December, and that's when you put your January submission. So make sure that the cutoff date is remembered. Otherwise, you have a choice to apply for Stream 3 if you don't have the minimum 3 months criteria for Stream 1. Well, 491 is fairly simple. Now, again, I would like to reiterate one message, about the 491. I mean, a lot of people are caught up with the fact that your occupation is not in the RDA or the regional area that you're living in. Well, it doesn't matter, because it's very clear that you can apply for Stream 3 for whichever RDAs you prefer, including your own RDA that you're living at the moment. Your occupation might not be on the list. However, if once you get the pre-invite, then you're free to apply any RDAs. Who is willing to take your application, you can apply in any RDAs. It's very clear in the application form, which I sort of reiterate that in my last video. But this time, I mean, we're getting enormous amount of phone calls asking the same question. My occupation is not in the list of the RDA that I'm living at the moment. Where do I do? Which RDA do I select? Well, technically, it's up to you. Like, you can select the RDA that has your occupation, or you can select the RDA that you're living in at the moment. And once the pre-invite is done by the New South Wales Investment, it's up to you to go and apply for any RDAs that is willing to take your application. That's the nature of this. So hence, I guess, that multiple phone calls that we receive every day for the same reason. I hope that is clear for you guys now, so that we can move on and finish the January ROI window period without any confusion. Now, the next thing that, we had a bit of a chance to speak with New South Wales Investment in regards to the recent changes about the 3 years employment on certain occupation. The clarification made by the New South Wales Investment seems pretty fair, because what the basically government has done is they looked at the stats, they looked at the expression of interest that's already lodged for those occupation, and there are people who already have more than 3 years experience in that particular occupation fulfilling the quota for the year. So just so that we are not encouraging people to apply for expression of interest for New South Wales and hoping the New South Wales invitation will come out without looking at any other migration pathways, it's kind of a mitigation plan to sort of stop people from keep waiting for the invitation when the number of the people who's already applied for that particular occupation quota has already reached. So there's no point waiting for your invitation to come out from New South Wales so that you guys can start making a plan. Well, of course, that involves us making a plan about, alternative arrangements. So as opposed to just waiting on New South Wales invitation round just because you've got high points, I guess it's an indication that, if you have higher points, if you don't meet the caveats that the New South Wales Investment has recently announced, then we strongly suggest we start looking at the different options. Now, when we talk about different options, we sort of talked about this in our last video. Well, have a look at those 14 RDAs for 491 where your occupation is listed as a priority occupation in those area. We could essentially be in that New South Wales regional area and still be able to apply for 190 and 491 both. Well, if you have a visa left and if you think you're going to meet the caveats, even if you're in a regional area in New South Wales, you can still continue to meet the caveats and apply for 190. However, if you think you're better, suited for 491, if you are better off with the 491 as opposed to keep waiting on the 190, then the New South Wales 491 regional area could be an option. But again, one thing that I would like to remind you all is for 190 New South Wales, the first caveat is, well, there's two things. Either or, you're going to meet, either you got to be living in New South Wales for minimum 3 months, or you have employment in New South Wales. If you look at the website, it's very clear. So most likely you will look at the, the caveats number one, which is living in New South Wales. So if you are living in Sydney versus if you are living in Central Coast, or if you are living in Dubbo, it's the same thing for 190 because you're still living in New South Wales. So don't forget that part. If you think you're going to meet the caveats, and if you have the some time on your 485 visa and there's some visa options available for you, and you think you can wait to meet the caveats, do so. Because if you think 190 would be a better option for you as opposed to living in New South Wales regional area or any regional area for 3 years before you apply for permanent residency, you can do so. But by living in a regional area, it also allows you to look at the other visa options, such as 491, New South Wales regional area, such as 494, regional employer sponsorship visas. And 191 later down the track. So it's not just one option in regional. So you have 190 as option, you have 491 as option, and you have 494 as an option. So that's just the first face value, sort of looking at the a quick option. But if you think about certain regional area that also offers DAMA program, like Orana region, for example, where you don't need to have enormous amount of experience before you get sponsored on the DAMA. So that's the fourth option. So again, the idea is, rather than like just putting your eggs in one basket and getting frustrated every time the New South Wales or any other state makes any changes on the policy, the approach should be more about making sure that you always keep a backup option or keep exploring the other options, so that if 190 doesn't work out for you, you still have the 491 option or 494 option or DAMA option. Okay. Now that's something was good to know from New South Wales investment, and also so the changes were kind of important because the people were sort of waiting on the nomination and sort of wasting their 405 visa in a hope that they're going to get the invitation anytime soon. But with this kind of caveats coming into play, it sort of gives the indication that we should start looking at some other options. Now, again, as I said, we're not too far off. We're just looking at other options like 491 New South Wales regional area, things like that. Before I go on holiday, I did have a chance to talk with Tasmanian state government as well. We're not looking at any major changes on 2022. The current assessment process for critical occupations for Tasmania still remains the same. If you can demonstrate your career pathways in Tasmania, how you're going to add value to the Tasmanian labour shortage and skill shortage, that still remains the priority for Tasmanian government. One thing that was sort of came into conversation was more about people working in agriculture or dairy farm, like people have qualifications that are not from Tasmania. They have qualifications, certification from some other states or states that are not from Tasmania. So the message is, if we can get those qualifications from and upskill the qualification from Tasmania itself, it will be more relevant to Tasmanian skill shortage or the labour shortage industry. So, like for example, agriculture, for example, all the critical sectors in Tasmania. So it's very important that we also look into upskilling yourself. If you're working in those sort of critical area, it's very important that you're not sort of producing the qualification that is from America or qualification from other states, because it's kind of not relevant to what you do to sort of demonstrate that your skill set is the one that Tasmanian government is particularly looking at. Again, no major change in Tasmania. Of course, there is any, we'll let you know. The things will be available publicly available in the website or any forums, or we'll be doing some workshops with the governments, and that's how we're going to find out, and we'll sort of bring it out to you to sort of clarify the the changes if there is any. Now, what do we expect in the year 2022? It's very important that we know what's going on. So, based upon some information that's available in Department of Home Affairs website, some media release in the past, we've been able to collect some data. So we're going to go through that with you over the video today, as a because this is the first video of the year. On the topic. So what to sort of expect in year 2022? Well, it is expected to climb to 180,000 people in 2022 to 2023, almost double the previous estimated numbers. It's kind of given because the last 2 years migration movement from offshore especially hasn't been that great, obviously, for the given reason, COVID-19. The Australian government and ministers were more aggressive in relation to bringing out more flexible and good changes to the migrants, as we sort of talking about only 3-4 weeks ago. But then we got hit by this new variant, which kind of put everything into sort of I wouldn't say pause, but it's more about let's see how this wave's going to go out kind of a situation with the immigration as well. But what sort of things that we can expect is Australian migration program is set annually and runs from 1st of July to 30 July, June each financial year. So the forecast remains at to the year 2024-2025 at 235,000 people. Australian border opens to the eligible international students and certain skilled visa holders. Of course, everyone is aware about that. 15th of December, the border was open for certain eligible visa holders and also international students, which is great news, which is 6 months earlier than forecasted in federal budget, which is great news for Australia. Australian citizens and permanent residents can also enter Australia and the immediate family members. Obviously, the change in the interpretation of or the expansion of the immediate family members to include the parents was a great move from Australian government again, so that the Australian citizens and permanent residents can invite their parents from overseas. Now, more opportunity for temporary visa holders. The 2021-2022 planning level was maintained at 160,000 places and carried over composition over the previous year, meaning there were 70,600 places for the skill stream, 77,300 for family stream, 100 for special eligibility, and 3,000 for children category. The Department of Home Affairs seems to want to fill that 160,000 with quite a few people who are here on those temporary visa. They are trying to draw those permanent migrants from people who are already in Australia. So although the implication of this planning is not sort of obvious at this point of time, but I would like to reiterate, these are already something that the Australian government is already thinking. So we should keep an eye and have a positive welcome towards these kind of changes, because it seems that 160,000 is quite a lot of numbers, needs to be filled. And the priority will be given to the temporary visa holders. It's a fantastic news. But again, a lot of things needs to be changed properly, legislated properly, and needs to be in a policy. So again, this is just a speculation. This is just something that we can sort of ascertain by looking at the news and media announcement and things like that. So again, when there is a more factual based news and when there's more changes will come into play, we'll bring it out to you. Permanent residency for skilled migrants in health and hospitality. Well, this is a great initiative that we are still waiting on. This was in a media release. The changes may benefit existing temporary skill shortage 482 visa holders in the short-term stream who were previously restricted to 2 years stay without such pathways. So, for example, cook on the 482 didn't have or still doesn't have a pathway to permanent residency, but the government's kind of thinking about making or moving those kind of occupation into a permanent residency list, which means even like some health allied professionals and hospitality workers can tap into this 482 temporary shortage visa, which will eventually lead them to a permanent residency, which is another welcoming news. There were about 20,000 visa holders who may benefit from the changes, with the largest cohort employed in the health and hospitality industry, which I just told you before. New visa settings for temporary graduate visa holders. Well, this was something important that was announced. Temporary graduate visa. This is mainly for F5 visa holders stranded offshore and unable to travel to Australia due to the pandemic will also be able to apply for a replacement visa. But there is a wait. Of course, we are still waiting on the date when these things will be implemented, so that we can start applying for a replacement visa. So, as the name suggests, like say for example, you've been stuck overseas for 7 months and you've not been able to utilize the 4F5 visa, you should be able to apply for 7 months replacement visa for the fact that you could not come back to Australia due to COVID-19 travel restriction in place. The government said in November the concession would allow current or formal temporary graduate 4F5 visa holders whose visa expired on or after 1st Feb 2020 to reapply for a new visa on the same duration from 1st of July 2022. So remember, the visa holder whose visa expired on or after 1st of Feb 2020 to reapply for a new visa for the same duration from 1st July 2022. So July 2022 is not that far away, especially if you think about you've already been stuck in overseas for a year, 2 years. So if your visa expired on or after 1st of Feb 2020, you should be able to apply for this replacement visa. There are other news from the other states as well, like ACT, Canberra, Western Australia, Northern Territory, South Australia, and so on. But obviously the videos has gone over 20 minutes, so I would like to stop there, and I'll promise you to bring up more update from the other states and territories in regards to the general school migration visa, in regards to employer sponsorship visa, or in regards to any other visa that will benefit you to apply for permanent residency, or any other visa that will be better fitted for your need. That's it for now. So again, there are some welcoming changes coming in 2022. So if you are in the higher pointers, if you are in regional area, it's not necessarily you have to settle for 491, especially if you're in hospitality sector or if you are in health allied professionals. I think it's just a matter of just letting the Omicron variant settle a little bit, so the government can sort of start reigniting those energy back into the plans that we had only about a month ago. It's just sort of died down a little bit, or sort of was on hold. It's still on hold. It's because of this new variant sort of spreading like no tomorrow. But again, there are some welcoming news that I think will be good for year 2022. Well, obviously the international students, the borders are open, so we can apply for international student visa now for people who are seeking out coming to Australia and studying in Australia. So that's a great news for people. Again, skilled migrants, permanent residency, employer sponsorship visa. There are a lot of good news on its way. So it may not appear to be that way right now as we speak. However, all these changes are coming in our way very soon. Again, thanks for watching. Keep following, keep sharing our social media page with your friends and family. Again, in our last video, we see a lot of comment on the government. We would like you guys to obey the policy that we have in place, that we cannot defame or start swearing at the government just because there has been a change in policy. It's very important that you have a healthy discussion in our forum. That's not a problem, but swearing or using offensive word towards the government will not be tolerated, and you will be banned from the page. But yeah, apart from that, I think that's it for today, and keep following us. You know where we stay. All our branches are open after holiday. So in Canberra, Hobart, and in Sydney, we are back to normal. Our trading hours are normal. You can make a booking through our website or through social media page. Our phone number, you can make booking through our phone as well, 029 in the next couple of weeks, we'll be extremely busy for 491 ROI, submission window period for New South Wales 491. So please be patient with us. We will get back to you on your queries. So I'll see you soon in next video with more updates. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.